Wall Street occupiers are gaining momentum, but what's their message?
Who needs church, priest, or even parents? Marriage is just a click away.
And wait till you see who's shaking it like a salt shaker. I'm Kelly Baumgarten.
And I'm Isaac Feldman.
And this is Panther Bytes. Even with the megaphone, students had trouble getting their voices heard at last week's tuition hikes protest. Demonstrators were protesting another tuition hike. This time, a 20% increase over the next 4 years. Is this a futile cry, or is it our own Occupy Wall Street? We have two reports from Tom Folletta. But first, here's Brandon Goldenberg.
And if we're all angry, are we all angry about this?
Albany is charging more for college, and purchase students are standing up and giving the state a piece of their mind.
Well, frankly, I think it's bull. You know what I mean? This is supposed to be a state-funded university. It's primarily because of horrible corporations, big businesses, that our tuition's increasing so much. Our government is squandering our money away to big businesses. They're not giving it to students, people who need education, people who are at the bottom of the rung.
So what is your reaction to the tuition increases from the state?
I'm terrified. I'm horrified. I started at a community college, and I started a community college knowing that I'd go on to a SUNY. I needed to pay as little as possible to begin with, and if I was 4 years younger, I don't know that I would have been able to have afforded getting to SUNY purchase or finishing at my community college.
So college taught me that I know a lot less than I thought I did. But what I do know is that only 30% of Americans have a college degree, and I don't want to be part of that 70%.
The state passed the SUNY 2020 plan earlier this year to close the budget gap. The plan would raise tuition 5% each year for 5 years. It forces some families to make tough decisions about going to college.
By the time my younger sister has to come to school for college, there's no chance for her to come. We are not going to have the money to send her.
Ariel Cohen is still optimistic and has a message for Governor Cuomo.
Just listen to us. We're future voters, and we pay for you, so invest in us.
This is Tom Folletta signing off.
The purchase student body has a distinct objective in mind. The growing Occupy Wall Street movement seems to have no clue. Still, more than 70 cities across the country are being occupied as we speak. J.J. Frost and Becca Marcarelli asked demonstrators why.
A peaceful protest took place under the bright lights of Times Square. Tens of thousands of people gathered here on Saturday as a part of the Occupy Wall Street protests. Most altercations between police and protesters were nonviolent, although some people still managed to get arrested.
The whole world is watching!
The police had set up barricades all up and down the sidewalks and were keeping a lot of people from crossing the street.
The whole world is watching!
To get from 43rd to 44th, 15 minutes. It was like molasses. And then once we tried to get to a spot where we thought we would be able to exit, we had to turn back around and do it again. So basically we spent a good hour and a half trying to just get someplace.
After the crowd started to thin out, many people reconvened at Washington Square Park, where they held a general assembly. At around midnight, the police started to kick the protesters out of the park. Organizers had already decided to leave the park and march to the Cooper Union rather than get arrested, although many people did stay and were forcibly removed by police.
All right, folks. You have to play the sidewalk. All right? Come on. I know you guys have not...
All of the other stragglers were left milling around outside the park, where such a crowd had built up that it was impossible to move on the sidewalks. So the police resorted to physically pushing the crowds of people for more than a block. It was well after 1 a.m. before the crowd was finally dispersed. I'm J.J. Frost, reporting.
The Occupy Wall Street protests have been going on for a while now, and Liberty Park is starting to look more like a community than anything else. A community fighting against the same system and wanting to be heard. As you can see, people have set up sleeping bags all over the park and have been camping out here for days or even a week. A General Assembly meeting is held every day for protesters to talk about what they believe in and what they want to fight. Mail is received and sorted daily. A gray water system is used for drinking water. A kitchen provides food to the protesters and those who are camping there and very hungry. Then the food is composted. There is a cell phone charging station, a hair cutting station, a coaching station, and even a library. And if you need a jacket, don't forget about the comfort station. Occupy has made itself home to a cast of very interesting characters, and even street performers. Occupy has somehow become a self-sustaining community in the middle of a park in New York City.
Recording police brutality on Wall Street, editing video in the computer labs, calling in to report the story, the man who made all that possible died Saturday. Steve Jobs not only created Apple, but he revolutionized the way the world understands each other. Jason Kwong has student reflections on the man and his many accomplishments.
Probably our Thomas Edison, if anything.
The death of Steve Jobs rocked Purchase College as students remembered the life of a technological titan.
He didn't go around, making touchscreen technology, but he was able to compile it all, make it nicely attractive, make it affordable, and sell it to consumers.
Many students use Apple products for design classes, new media, and their personal lives. Steve Jobs leaves behind an unmatched empire.
I'm hoping that his legacy is carried on and something like that, and someone can, pick up the reins right after him. But it's going to be tough because it was as difficult as dealing with Apple, it's definitely a tough loss, and they're a great company.
Chris Petruccio is a freshman new media major. In his spare time, he runs an Apple product review YouTube channel with over 50,000 subscribers.
It was really sincere knowing that, because he was the guy that gave me my career. If it wasn't for him inventing the iPod Touch originally and the iPhone and all that, I wouldn't have a career. I wouldn't know what I want to do with my life. I wouldn't be into all this tech stuff. I wouldn't have a business of my own. I wouldn't have any income whatsoever. I don't know what my interest would be right now if it wasn't for him. So his passing definitely impacted me a lot, and our little tech community we have on YouTube, it was really hard.
But what does Chris think of Steve Jobs as a person?
No one had the imagination that he had. Everybody was too afraid to sometimes put up their ideas. But Steve was never too afraid. He would always just throw something out there. He would always say, if it's a crazy idea, it's probably a good idea.
This is Jason Kwong.
When we come back, going green and bare and all. Stay right there.
No water.
Weed isn't the only green thing lurking around campus. The annual Green Expo lit up the hub last week with a variety of green that Purchase isn't quite used to. Carly Smith catches a whiff of sustainability.
On September 29th, representatives from various companies and groups were on campus for the Purchase College Green Expo 2011. I spoke to Michelle Mendelson from Staples about how Staples is becoming more economically conscious and how that is affecting our campus. Ms. Mendelson showed me an array of different items such as notebooks, ice melts, all-purpose cleaner, and even toner cartridges that Staples has recycled and redistributed. According to Ms. Mendelson, all recycled products have a minimum of 30% sustainable or post-consumer product. I also spoke with a representative from Chartwell's, Corinne Davey, who discussed Chartwell's continuing efforts to keep our carbon footprint small and to help eliminate waste. According to Ms. Davey, Chartwell's has always been committed to using biodegradable tableware, utensils, and napkins. They also have tried to reduce our carbon footprint on campus. Chartwell's has also made 2 different programs, one, Program Trim Tracks, and Project Clean Plate, which both try to reduce food waste.
Some teased.
Some bared it all.
But whatever they did and just how far made for a heck of a night. Aurora Folks exposes LGBTQU striptease.